Awesome. Well, George, welcome to Hello Downtown.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. It's an absolute honor to have you on the show. I think it's pretty clear that anyone who knows anything about burgers, you are the reference point if you care at all about hamburgers. Comes from your titles and all that, but I think an interesting connection point for us is how we got connected with you. We just wrapped up the downtown Sioux Falls burger battle, and we're getting absolutely roasted on Reddit. And we had some people saying, "You guys don't know what you're doing. You should have George Motz uh, getting involved and ranking these burgers." So here we are.
No, you don't need me. I think
Well,
it's
apparently we
yeah.
do.
Well, that's what they think. You don't need me.
Yes.
But I'm glad,
Yes.
happy to hear that. It's very nice to hear that.
Yeah, well, and I know you're involved in New York has an event. It's the New York Burger Bash, and you've
Yeah.
got, of course, a lifelong dedication to the hamburger and regionalism of the food. So maybe we just start off with if you were going to enter the downtown Sioux Falls burger battle, thinking about that regionality, what would you put in?
For Sioux Falls,
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, you have one of the greatest burgers in America is right there. You go a little bit north up to Brookings, South Dakota.
yeah,
There's a place called Nick's. You know Nick's?
absolutely. Yeah, yes, I'm going to go there next week and give that burger a shot.
And not that it's a South Dakota thing, or as a upper Midwest thing. This is actually the way hamburgers were made 125 years ago. Was to cook it in a tank the way they do with just rendered beef fat. Which is exactly the way they've been doing it forever. I think for probably 60, 70 years now at this point. But there's nothing unique about that in the history of the hamburger. But it is unique in the fact that there's not many places like Nick's around anymore, unfortunately. And so if I were to make something, I don't think I'd mimic Nick's. I'd just bring in Nick's.
I
That's what
love
I would
that.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're looking at Nick's, and I know you've been there, I've seen it in your book. I know you've got multiple editions out now of your book, but what makes that particular burger at Nick's work over and over and at scale?
Simplicity, just basically basic simplicity, and the fact that they employ one of the methods that I like to use at my restaurant in New York City, which is, have you enjoyed yourself? Great. Can you give your seat to somebody else? Because that's
Yeah.
exactly what's going to happen. It's like, there are people at Nick's, if it's really busy on a Saturday, there are people waiting behind stools, ready to jump in your stool, make sure that they can get the next burger, and then they're ready to do the same thing, just to get eat as fast as possible and get out. That's the beauty of it. It really is. It's less about the flavor of it, but really about the method by which the burgers are delivered to people,
Yeah. I think
which
even
is quickly.
in your book, you were talking about it's about 60 seconds and it's, people are
Yeah,
shouting their order over the counter and it's in and out, get out.
yeah. And it's deeply flavorful. And what they're doing, they really are holding on to tradition that is quickly dying, going away in America, which is this sort of basically deep fried in beef tallow, which is a very healthy way to go, by the way. But it is unquestionably a great way to make a burger.
Yeah. So as I dig into your content, I've read your books and I've seen your documentary. One thing that stands out to me is just your attention to detail and the way your brain works on a systematic level. There's really a science, I would say, behind the art. You've kind of subtly hinted at your counter depth, the way you've designed your restaurant in New York, the grill that you're willing to even use. It's an old school type of grill, down to your spatula, this custom spatula that you built because you were breaking all of the spatulas you were
Yeah.
using.
Most people do actually break them all the time, and honestly, everything we do in the restaurant, even when it comes down to my custom-made spatula, everything we do is based on some sort of hamburger history, something that's already happened and exists in the hamburger world today, or from 100 years ago or more. And the perfect example would be that every single spatula that was used to smash or flip burgers was custom. Nothing existed in the beginning. They had to make all their own tools. And one of the easiest way to make a smashing tool, or a tool to, basically sometimes they paste, the burger onto the flat top. They had to use a bricklayer's trowel. And they still do it today. There's still many places in America that use a bricklayer's trowel, where they take the bricklayer's trowel, they cut the tip off, and they have this sort of stunted but very, very sturdy tool for smashing burgers. And that's actually, I mean, everything we do is based on history. And that's a perfect example of the kind of history that we have.
Well, unfortunately, I think the Smashula is on back order right now. I couldn't get one, but I've got it on my watch list. So, can you just talk a little bit about physical design, intentionality, and just kind of that science behind the art of how much thought have you put into your own restaurant, and how does that play into serving a lot of people?
We've put a lot of thought into it. You have to take into consideration that we're in New York City, so we're strictly volume, and you could go in the route of fast food and just serve lots of food quickly to people, or you can look to history like we have and make sure that we are. I looked at the things that made the hamburger very quick serve throughout America, and looked at volume and tried to figure out the best ways to make that happen. And really, it's just again, it goes back to simplicity. It goes back to simplicity of ingredients, simplicity of menu. One thing we learned is that if you're looking at a menu, we have this big menu board up, and it's big, but there's not much on it. And so the idea is that you look up at the board. If you've never been there before, you can pretty much decide what you want in about 20 seconds, if 15 to 20 seconds. There's some menus that are so big, you look at them and you get confused, and then you get upset that you're confused. And you're actually upset with yourself for not being able to make a decision. In my restaurant, you look up at the menu and you can make a decision so quickly that it makes everything go very, very fast, every single thing. So we've thought about everything in that restaurant, but again, based on just what's come before, we've invented nothing. We've just looked at what has come before.
I love that. Yeah. So we just wrapped the burger battle. It took place January 1 to January 31st. We had 50 different restaurants competing. And when I say
Wow.
restaurants, some were food trucks, some were, we had
Right.
a patisserie shop, uh,
Excellent.
get out a grill and make a burger
Busy.
and to participate. So if you were to walk into a burger joint, as you have many, many times, what are some non negotiables that you see and you just know, they got it right?
So the non-negotiables are for sure are frozen beef. I always like to ask. I always say, "Hey, do you use frozen beef or do you use fresh ground beef?" And if anybody says like, let me go check," I'll find out. That means the answer is probably no. Or if someone that I'm asking doesn't know, it's kind of a problem to begin with. If they say, look at me and they say, "Are you serious? Of course we use fresh ground," then I know it's the real thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second thing is the taste. If you taste it, I know right away if it's frozen or fresh. You can't fool me.
You've had enough burgers.
I know exactly what's going on. Those are deal breakers for sure. To me, it's just people who are not nice in restaurants. Generally speaking, I like to walk into a place that's a happy place. I can't tell you how many places I've walked into in America where I'm friends with everyone in the restaurant within the first 5 minutes, and that's the kind of place that you want to come back to. That's where the hospitality is so innate and natural that it makes you feel so welcome. Those are very important parts. But really, fresh ingredients is number one, and hospitality is right up there.
I love that you point out the positive person because as I you know work my way through all of the content you've made, you're just an awesome storyteller, of course, but it's pretty clear you're a positive person and people look very happy. I know the cameras are on and all that, but you seem like a pretty positive person.
Yeah, very positive. I mean, it's just no. I can't imagine going through life any other way. I think it's infectious. We had a guy who was a hospitality expert come into the restaurant recently and said that he felt like he was where he wanted to be. It's a very happy, positive experience. He felt like he was in a party. He was like invited to. It's a party I want to be at. And that's
Absolutely.
great because what's happening is behind the counter, which we're an open kitchen, and again, an open kitchen that mimics many of the restaurants I've seen in America. And we did that because we wanted to make sure that there's a give and take between the customers and our staff, our crew. We have the greatest crew in the world, and they're so wonderful because they love each other and they take care of each other. They look out for each other constantly, but they're in constant motion, and it is an incredibly well-oiled machine. And the entire entire group of customers behind the counter see all that. They see all that happening, and they get excited to be part of that. And there's a nice symbiotic relationship going on between the customers and the staff. I think it's so important.
I agree. I agree. And that's really, with 50 restaurants competing for the best burger in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, some of that experience really rose to the top too, just that customer experience and service. And we've actually spent a lot of time as a team debating how do you calculate what is the best burger? Is it just a simple average score? Is it quality versus quantity? Is consistency versus creativity? We very clearly have half of those people going after volume, and the other half are going after these wild ingredients. You've got cinnamon roll buns and just absolutely insane things. And so when you strip it down, what should a burger be ranked on?
It should be ranked on the first bite. If you can
Mm,
get all the ingredients in the first bite and it tastes fantastic. And for some reason, that science is working in your mouth and in your nose. Obviously, this is the whole sensory situation going on between your nose and your mouth. And also, it's also you taste it, you feel the texture, you taste it, you smell it. If everything happens in that first bite, you're done. You've got it. That's all. That's all I really care about is that first bite. Because the problem is if you can't get everything in the first bite, then it's really hard to judge what the hell's going to happen next. you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
also it's just fresh and you can tell right away if it's fresh. You can tell if they've gone too far. I've had burgers. People had syringes with some kind of syrup they would squeeze into it. It's like you don't need these things. You really don't need these things for a burger. A burger itself is supposed to be a very compact, complete flavor profile and a piece of science that should work in one bite.
Let's dig right into that. Cause 50 different entries into the same competition. You can imagine just the breadth of what people came up with. What qualifies as a hamburger?
So a hamburger should be defined as only one thing, which is ground beef cooked somehow and served on bread. That's it. That's the entire definition.
I love that. Yeah.
If you said cheeseburger, well, then you had a slice of cheese. But other than that, a hamburger is nothing more than just ground beef cooked somehow, served on bread. Period.
There you go. The food expert just said it. The burger expert, in fact. But you didn't just choose burgers as food. You've chosen them as a muse, as a lifelong subject. Why the burger?
It was completely by accident. Be totally honest. It was a fluke. I was a filmmaker for many years. For 28 years, 30 years or so, I was a director of photography. I worked on TV commercials and movies, and the career was great. It was a great career. But at some point, I made a hamburger documentary in 2004. And it put me on the map in a way because it became kind of a cult thing where it showed on a couple of networks. It was on PBS for a minute, on the Sundance Channel, and it picked up some fans. And people started looking at me and say, "Hey, you're a hamburger expert." I said, "No, I'm a filmmaker. I'm not a hamburger expert." And then somebody asked me to write a book. The book then rolled into a second book, a third book, a TV show, another TV show, a cookbook, and it just kept getting bigger and weirder to the point where right now, I just yesterday signed my contract for my 7th book, hamburger book. So I've done it all. I feel like the only thing I'm still working on the Broadway musical. That's my next one.
Oh, I will get tickets to that. That's incredible. So actually, so I have a 3-year-old, and I ask her every weekend before we go get groceries and whatnot. I said, what do you want to eat this week? And she asked for cheeseburgers. And so we made burgers last night together, and we used your cookbook.
Well, guess what? I feel like she will like my next book.
Okay.
It's a picture book. We're doing a picture book.
Oh my gosh. Okay. When is pre-order?
Not for we literally.
You got to write it. I know.
But it's going to be the idea of the book. It's my first fictional piece of work I've done, and the idea is it includes about 15 to 20 different historically accurate hamburger stories, all put into one children's picture book.
I love that. We've got this beautiful toy shop in downtown Sioux Falls, and I love the thought of connecting Burger Battle with that toy shop next year and getting this on the shelves or something. But so Burger Battle it's been going on for 13 years now in Sioux Falls.
Wow. Excellent.
Yes. And honestly, when we started, I think if I look back in the history, I wasn't here. I'm fairly new to the organization, but I think the first year there was a couple of restaurants that were participating, and we were begging people to show up. And this last year, 50 restaurants, massive economic impact for this community. It's actually changed behavior. Nobody is talking about anything else in January in Sioux Falls. I went to a college hockey game in town. I'm getting pulled aside to ask me which burger I think is the best, because they know I work here. And so we've got offices planning their lunch routines. They're making their own YouTube videos. Blogs are popping up. We're getting hate mail from PETA, so
doing something right. No, but it's also really great for the pop-ups, by the way. I'm assuming a lot of the pop-ups can only operate in the warmer months. And so for them to have an off-season moment when people remember who they are or reintroduce them in the wintertime is a really good thing for a pop-up for sure.
Yeah, and it actually was kind of born out of that idea is how do we do something in January when it's bitter cold here? I mean, there was a couple of days this year it was -20, and the wind chill was -38. And so, but the restaurants here this year were still, there was a wait list, and on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, I mean, it's incredible. Our town is not that big.
Yeah.
our
I've
city.
been. Exactly.
We're in the middle of South Dakota. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, one person was even reflecting on Burger Battle and just kind of talking about it as a cultural phenomenon and just a unique vehicle. It wasn't even about the burger. It was just a vehicle of how we can connect with other people and the human beings right in front of us. Can you just talk about? I can hear it in your books and in your documentaries. How does that play into the way you view life and burgers of just a vehicle for community?
Well, so when I originally made the film, the film is also called Hamburger America. The book's called Hamburger America. The film's called Hamburger America. The restaurant, it's all part of the same, it's the same story being told in many different ways. But originally, the story was about hamburgers. And when I got out on the road and started pointing cameras at people, I realized that it was equally about people as it was about hamburgers. And it made it more interesting for me to work on the project because it wasn't just a food thing. It was also getting to know people and how they relate to the hamburger, how they relate to customers, how they relate to their region. And I really discovered this crazy, very hyper regional moment happening with these hamburger places around the country, and that's how I was able to make the book. And so I realized it is equally about the hamburger as it is about the people who are making them and eating them. It's very important.
Yeah, and I've got this guy right here, and right next to it, we've got Hamburger America, of course, which you've referenced.
Yep.
So yeah, just really good reads. Just a
Well, hang on one
you
second.
got one too?
Wait, hang on. Yeah, new one. This is the whoa. There you go. There it is.
Oh my gosh, look
I
at
just got my
that.
advanced copies. This is the new one. This comes out in April.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
the latest edition, correct?
Yeah, this is the fourth edition. It's fully updated. I mean, literally, every single word has been changed in here. Just about. It's 160,000 words. It includes 220 restaurants this time. And it's 38 new discoveries of old school places. But there it is. That's the new book, the fourth edition of
Yeah,
Hamburger
look at
America.
that.
Yeah,
It's a good cover. Look, yeah, that's great. That's amazing. Can't wait for that. You said April for that one?
April 14th. It drops on
April
April
14th.
14th. Yeah,
Beautiful. So just to dive a little further into some of those metrics, I kind of teased them a little bit earlier, but this year, almost 100,000 burgers were sold in little old Sioux Falls here in the month of January.
wow.
And these are Burger Battle burgers. Now, other people ordered a salad or something else or a different burger on the menu, a pizza. And so we're only counting the ones that were part of the competition. That equates to close to $4 million of economic impact. And again, Sioux Falls, South Dakota population that just came out a couple of weeks ago, 225,000 people.
Wow.
We're capturing a huge amount of this community. A lot of people are eating many. I had probably 20 or 21 myself, but it's really been incredible from the metrics standpoint. 50 restaurants participating. You, in fact, at the end of that, had your own metric. You sold your millionth burger.
We sold 1 million burgers. We smashed 1 million patties. So we counted a double as two because it really is two. If you think about every time you put a burger down, you smash it, you have to make it, it has to be shaped into the size of a burger. So it was technically 1 million patties smashed in 2 years and 3 months. So just almost
that's a short amount of time.
Yeah, well, it's New York City again. We have the volume is enormous. We're doing roughly 6 to 9, depending on the weekend, 6 to 9,000 burgers a week at the restaurant, and a lot of this on the weekend too. So we're built for speed and for volume.
Yeah, back to that restaurant design, the menu design, right?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time before we put the actual restaurant together. We mapped out on the floor where everything was going to be, and could stand and figure out who was going to be where and how they're going to pivot and move. I mean, almost like a machine, like an actual like a human machine, and it adjusted for error if you had to take a step in one direction or the other, and made it so that it was a super compact, amazing machine, and it works.
I don't know if people would even realize that is part of running a burger joint. I think that's just so cool and incredible. One of the person, we give away awards for this, so we crown the best burger, but we also crown who got the most sales. So we're doing a quality contest and a quantity contest. Monk's Ale House is in downtown. They sold 9,000 burgers throughout the month. So they took home 10% of the entire competition. And that number for us is just insane. People are just kind of blown away that they could even produce that many burgers. So to hear that you're doing that in a week is just wild. I know you're in a way bigger city, but It's just
Yeah.
incredible. So I guess maybe my question is, you've had these metrics, we've got metrics. How do metrics kind of inform and impact what you're doing as an entrepreneur, but also as a storyteller?
Well, I mean, the metrics are very important, obviously, and we look at day to day, week on week, year on year for the same day. We keep an eye on all these things, and we have a chart. We actually look at weather. We write down what the weather was like. Say why are we so down on sales? Look at the weather. Oh, there was a blizzard. That's why, and nobody was on the street. Metrics are so important because you want to be able to. We keep our prices very low. Our for New York City, we're selling. I mean, it may sound like a lot to most of the country, but we're selling a single hamburger for $7.75, which in New York City, most burgers are north of $15. And some of the better ones, some of the bigger, better ones are upwards of like 25, 30, $35. And we don't believe that that cannot be the case. We want to make sure people can come back if they want tomorrow. We actually, on our bag, it says on the side of our bag, it says, see you tomorrow.
I love that.
Because the idea is you can. I mean, if obviously the cost of living is a little bit higher here, but the cost of our burgers are lower than the cost of living. I mean, we believe that you actually should be able to afford a burger every day if you wanted to, or at least once a week or a bunch, and enjoy yourself. You don't want to walk into a restaurant and then walk out and say, "Wow, I paid so much just now, and I don't know, what did I get for it?" I would hate that. I'd hate people to have that kind of feeling. So I think the analytics are very important. The metrics are very important to study because you want to make sure that you're keeping everything in balance, but you're able to keep prices low. That's very important for us.
Yeah, and then hitting a millionth burger, do you feel, I mean, is that a massive achievement for you? Does it just light you up?
Of course, because we were looking at the numbers and I didn't believe it. We started tracking the numbers last summer, and I looked at the numbers. And I said, "Whoa, oh wow, I could figure out based on what we were selling and the ebb and flow of the year when we would hit it, and I was off. I was off by 17 days.
That's pretty
It
good.
was 17 days earlier. It was actually earlier than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be on February the 16th. It ended up being the last day of January. So we started looking at it. I said, okay, we were definitely onto something here because I think we're going to hit it, and I could tell we were going to hit it. We followed and tracked it. So I was completely blown away. I couldn't believe it. I had to count the numbers 3 times back then to make sure we had it right. And then we ran right down to the very last day. We were standing in the restaurant. We have 2 registers, and we were watching each register and say, "Who's ordering? Who's ordering? Who's ordering? Who's ordering?" And it down it was the actual patty. It was one guy who ordered a single patty burger. The group in front of him ordered 4 doubles and a single. So they ended up getting 9 patties, and that 10th patty was the one that ended up winning it.
Yeah, and so can you tell us what he won?
So he won free burgers for a year at the restaurant,
Oh,
which
lucky
means that he
guy.
can come in any day he wants and get a single patty burger every day for the entire year until next January the 30th, 2027.
That's amazing.
But he also gets
That's
bragging rights. There's a photo of him on the wall. It's going on the wall. He's been great. It's been really. He was totally shocked. I mean, the balloons started coming down, and he went, "What's happening?" I think everybody kind of dreams of that moment happening to them. And he said to me, "I've never won anything in my life."
I love that. I love that. Yeah. So our burger battle is, um, it's grown. It's been 13 years, like I said. We're starting to see little communities around us start to steal the idea. And I can't even say that it was ours to begin with, but when does an idea, the ownership of an idea kind of not really matter anymore? And just like the beauty of
Yeah.
the community next door hosting their own burger battle and people just having economic impact, but also just community.
Yeah, I mean, people walk into the restaurant all the time, sit at the counter, and look over the counter at the griddle and say, "I'm going to steal that idea." I said, "It's not stealing if I'm giving it to you."
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you go out in the world and you do this thing or try to do this thing, as long as you're not using my name, you can do whatever you want. I don't own this burger. This burger, I stole this burger from history, and I borrowed it from history, and I'm doing it to keep the tradition alive. And then if someone does that as well, they're doing the same thing. They're also keeping that tradition alive, and that's very important. And it's important to share. It's important to share ideas. I always think of with the Grateful Dead. Always had this. The band had this. This idea that you could record the shows for free, and some people thought it was crazy. Like, the executives were all like, "You're going to be giving away free music?" I said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, but we're building a community." And wow, did they ever?
Absolutely. That's such a good example too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. We've found it as, kind of a badge of honor and just flattery of like, please, bring people together, and it's incredible.
Yeah,
I think looking forward, to the next 13 years, I think Burger Battle, I think we're in its infancy, and I think it's going to be something massive. And I think there's some regional component that could start to play a
definitely.
factor.
I need to come visit. What's January? Yeah, sure. Hey, January is a good month for me.
Well, I got a quote for you, and I've got 50 burger recommendations to share with you. So you are invited,
Excellent.
certainly. But yeah, so Burger Battle keeps growing and growing and growing, and we've got incredible partners, of course. And I'm thinking about the Burger Bash in New York. I'm sure there's partners involved there, but Poet is our sponsor here. Been with us for 2 years. I think what's unique about them is it wasn't just a check for sponsorship. They got involved. They actually their CEO is eating all these burgers and getting excited about it, and it connects back to their mission. And so, where do you see in events like Burger Bash in New York and other things you've done with these books, of partnering with people and kind of maintaining the authenticity of it?
Well, I mean, obviously, anytime you can spread the word of hamburger out there, not to sound too religious, but there is a bit of a cult to it where you want to make. I think it's okay to get it out there and spread it. I think it's the more we're talking about it, the better it becomes. Really, it makes everything better. It makes the experience better. It makes the ingredients better. It makes everything a little bit better. I think it's very important to do that. There's obviously we have we do charitable work as well. We work with a organization in New York called God's Love We Deliver,
Hmm.
which I think is also great. It's a great charity that they go into people's homes, into people's homes. They deliver meals to people who are homebound, who can't leave. And they deliver, I think it's 16,000 meals a day in New York City alone. It's unbelievable. And we are very proud to be part of that, be partnered with them, because I mean, to be able to be someone who makes food and serves food and sells food and gives food out. It's such a great feeling to know that there's a group that's literally right down the block from us in New York City that does that every single day. They send out 16,000 meals a day. It's unbelievable. So it's a very important part of the community to give back, make sure that we're all doing our thing.
Yeah, that's incredible. On top of producing so many burgers for
Right.
people in your restaurants, I mean, that's really amazing. You also do something else really unique in your restaurant. It's the Burger of the Month.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I found really cool about it is that you have a hard cutoff. As soon as the next month starts, we're done. Like, you
Yeah.
cannot get it. And I admire that. We're actually getting questions all the time about our burger battle. Can you extend it? Can you
Yeah.
modify it? Can you shorten it?
Next year. We'll see you next year.
Yeah, right.
It's like, fine, nothing wrong with
Or I
that.
missed it. Yes.
Yeah. No, we do. I mean, it's a very hard cutoff date. We do sometimes we have to extend. Like we had to extend this latest one. We have to extend an extra week because one of the very important ingredients for the next one was stuck in a snowstorm trying to get up from Louisiana. So we had bread that we had actual po' boy bread that's coming up from New Orleans, and we had to use that. And it was stuck in the freezer truck in the freezing cold for a week. So I finally got it yesterday, so we're okay. We're gonna be fine now going forward.
You
But
can
the
get
idea is
your
that
free burger.
it's called the monthly burger special, and what we do is we change it every month, like you said, and we try to obviously keep it 100% accurate, totally accurate, right down to the plate it's served on, the how it's wrapped up. If it's a place that already has their own waxed paper and that we ask them for it, we'll use that. We do this thing where if you are a sit down restaurant and we have a lot of places, that old school places that have the little scalloped edge placemat,
Yeah, yeah.
and so we'll get the placemat. And if you're sitting in the restaurant eating, oh wait, we got to get you a placemat. If you order that burger and you get the placemat, you get the whole experience is right there, which is also kind of nice because then it continues the community aspect of it because everyone's taking photographs and in the background you can see the placemat and it looks like they're in the restaurant, but they're actually in my restaurant.
Yes, yes. And I love the fact that you said, when can I get this next? I think you were saying something like, in 3 years.
Yeah, you heard
It will be
that?
back on the menu, but it's going to be,
Yeah, somebody did ask, like, when can I get this again? I'm like, oh, let's see, about 3 or 4 years, probably come back around to that one. It was lots. I mean, there's so many more burgers out there that it's limitless. We've gotten through so I had a list of the first 2 years or so of monthly burger specials, and we got about 6 months in, and I extended it to about 4 years. So we have so many to choose from. And just to kind of take a break, just to give the restaurant and the crew a breather, we do switch back to we do a classic Midwestern chili dog, or like a coney dog, that we do in July, the month of July, and then the month of December, just to sort of give it a little balance and give the crew a break.
Yep, I can understand that. We're kind of feeling that in Sioux Falls right now, where the servers and the kitchen staff are all like, we need a break. We need to have a vacation, but they're
Oh,
already
they don't
planning
no,
for
they
next
don't want
year.
vacations. They just want to like just bring it
I
back to
know.
normal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what I appreciate most about your work, George, is that it's just very clear as you're talking that culture and energy doesn't need permission; it just needs care, consistency.
Yeah,
You said the word simplicity
yeah,
over and over, and then that community where a place to gather.
yeah,
I just think that's really unique about you and what you're doing. And downtown exists. Downtown Sioux
yeah,
Falls, the organization exists to do the exact same thing: is to drive people to downtown businesses,
yeah,
to offer support, drive economic activity, but ultimately to build human connection and community. And
yeah.
Burger Battle is just honestly one of the coolest ways we get to do that. So
Yeah, that's great. You keep it up. It really is important. I mean, the crews are obviously the people who make the burgers, and the
yes,
staff is very important. And what I do, I go the extra step, and I make them breakfast every Saturday. Though we're not doing it tomorrow, we're doing it Sunday instead. But I make them breakfast at least once a week. I order dinner and we get pizza or some dinner that comes in, so they don't have to worry about just eating hamburgers while they're working. They really want to be there. They like being in the restaurant. They like working with each other. They like working for us, and they have a good time. But we will also make sure that we go the extra step and make sure that we give them a little bit extra. If I'm out somewhere and I'm at a shop at like a bakery and I see cookies, I'm buying 50 cookies and I'm like, hey, so hey crew, guess what? I walk up with cookies. They love it. And it just goes to show, it shows them that there's not an us in them. There's us. There's just us. There's just all of us together in this together. And I want to make sure they appreciate they understand that I appreciate what they're doing. They're not just there to take home a paycheck. They're there to actually help me, help me create and get my dream out there.
I love that. I think that message of unity is so incredible. We talk about that all the time in downtown too. Just our organization is just uniquely positioned to not have competition. We are a nonprofit that serves all the businesses in
Right.
downtown, and so when one of them does really well, we celebrate, we cheer. When one of them closes or is having a bad time, we mourn.
Yeah.
And
Of
it's just a
course.
beautiful mission. So
Yeah. Thank you. I think
yes,
it's I like what you got going on there. I got to come visit.
you really are invited. I'm being honest. You can come
Okay.
out and I'll show you around and I'll buy the burgers too. So
Excellent.
yeah, take that burger recommendation very seriously. And I just want to just genuinely thank you for answering some questions and spending some time on Hello Downtown today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, take care.
Thanks, bud. You good?
We're good. That's a
Great.
wrap.
Good to meet you. Seriously, keep in touch. Stay in touch.
We will. We
Okay.
will.
Right on.
Appreciate you.
Bye.